Stop that. Did you just throw up? Duchess. Don't lick it. Mommy will get it. Oh my God, what does it say in my handwriting? A-F-O-A-I-S. This looks French. That's a U. Sorry. Welcome back to this channel, co-creators. It's your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor, mysticrainn, and today we're going to be going over full moon in Capricorn. Full moon in Capricorn. What does it mean? June 24th, 2:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. Okay? Is it daylight savings time? Listen, where I'm at, okay, it occurs at 2:40 p.m. and that's that. So look, it's a strawberry moon. That's just what it's going to be called, but it is an eclipse. It's a penumbral eclipse, okay? So listen to this. We know about the big dogs, the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse. We have been eclipsing all over the place for the last few weeks, okay? This is neither of those. It's a penumbral eclipse, right? People don't really talk about it, but it's very significant. And I'm going to tell you why. So that is when, and you know, I've got notes just everywhere here. So you're going to see me kind of like looking around. But that is when like the sun, the earth, the moon are imperfectly aligned, right? And so instead of completely blocking each other, it creates a shadow. So a lot of you would have seen one, but have not noticed that that's what you're looking at. It's when you look at the moon and the moon has a tinge to it. It can be a little pinky sometimes. It can be a little orangey sometimes, but there's a tinge to it. It's not that like moon gray color. That tinge to it is the shadow. It's actually an eclipse. I know that I have seen the moon like that many times, and it just didn't dawn on me that what I was really looking at was an eclipse. But because of that, because it's shadowy, it's subtle. With like lunar eclipses and solar eclipses, those are like rapid change. Those are like massive overhauls of change. You feel it, you witness it. With an eclipse like this, it's a subtle change. It's a subtle shift. It's like this knowing in self where you're like, I sense my life is gonna change, but you don't know why. It's really subtle. It's this feeling of an ending phase. Like, you know that like you're coming to the end of a chapter, but like you don't know why. The really interesting thing about these kind of eclipses though is they are the eclipse of like when one door closes, another one opens. So as you start to feel things closing out in your life, they're closing out to create room for more things to open. A really interesting thing though around this period of time is that most of you are going to start to notice that some of your things are sore, right? Like some of you, you're going to have like sore muscles, you're going to have like sore joints. Some of you may start to have throat problems, maybe a sore throat or something like that, or a hoarse voice or something like that. It's not going to last long, but you're going to notice like some sort of like fatigue in the body during this time. So like, listen, this is the month of recalibration, okay? We talked about this. June is the month of like getting clarity and like realizing what it is that we want. And the new moon, you would have dealt with all of your nodes activating, right? The nodes of destiny, the nodes of fate, of what it is that you're supposed to be doing in this particular incarnation. But you're not going to know how to do it. And the lunar eclipse and the new moon, you would have had this feeling of, I just want my life to be different. My outer circumstances are not matching how I feel on the inside. You would have felt this need to change, but you wouldn't have necessarily had the answers on like how to do that or what that would look like. This is going to be a time where the answers are going to start coming to you because you're going to be a lot more active and going to get them. You're going to think to yourself, okay, these are the things I want. Now, what do I do now? And what's going to happen, because remember, it's still, you know, like you're going to be, because we're coming out of Gemini season, right? You're going to be a little bit more communicative at that time. You're going to be talking to people, asking people what they think, asking people for advice on how to do things, what their opinions are, or simply going to people trying to share knowledge, right? Because you're going to be kind of soaking everything up because you're going to be trying to figure out how to use what you know and how to use the resources that are available to get your outside circumstances to match how you feel on the inside. This is also really interesting if you just look at the calendar, right? Like, this is a real big recalibration time for people, but this is also the middle of the year, right? This is that time when people kind of check in with themselves and they go, oh, like that New Year's resolution that I had, so far from away from that, like not even close to achieving any of the things that I said that I was actually going to do. People start to check in around this time, and so you're going to be dealing with like a collective check-in. You're also going to be experiencing, like, you're going to hear from a friend, right? And your friend is going to be like, you know what, I don't really think this works for me anymore. And you're going to be like, really? Because it seemed like they did. Like, they're going to be coming to you, talking to you about things that you thought were stable in their life. It could be a relationship, right? Where maybe you thought that they were in a really stable partnership. It could be a job, whatever. You would have interpreted it as being a good thing for them. And they're going to start coming to you like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. I don't think I want to be with that person anymore. Because everybody would have went through the phase for the new moon and the solar eclipse where they're like, oh my God, like this isn't matching what I want for myself, right? Everyone's nodes were activated. Everyone's now focused on their greater picture, the bigger picture, their purpose in life, what it is that they actually want to do. One thing that's really interesting is that, oh my God, what does it say in my handwriting? AFOAIS, this looks French. That's a U, sorry. A focus. Okay, so yeah, so there's going to be a focus on like where you're going in life, but the focus is less going to be about like where you want to go and like overall direction, and more about your proximity to like the success of it. Like how close to you are to acknowledging your real, like your goals. How close are you to acknowledging what you originally said you were going to set off to do? And for a lot of you, you're going to be examining not the resolutions that you put in place for this year, but you're going to be examining like life goals. Like, where am I? And a lot of you are going to feel, hey, stop that. Did you just throw up? Gotcha. Don't lick it. Mommy will get it. But for a lot of you, it's gonna be like big time stuff, like mile markers, like life mile markers, things that you feel are quantifiable, like major accomplishments. You're gonna be looking at how close you are to achieving that, and unfortunately, sad to say, a lot of you are gonna feel like you're not very close. Now, this isn't to say that you're not, right? Because how we perceive ourselves a lot of the times isn't what actually is, right? So you're going to feel that you're going to be far off, but that won't necessarily be the case for a lot of you. But a lot of you will feel like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I've just been like lollygagging and I haven't gotten anything accomplished. The communication that you're going to have with people are going to be around goals and ideas. So you're going to be noticing a lot of people sharing their goals and ambitions. A lot of people are going to be opening up around this time. You're going to be talking to people and you're going to be like, they're going to tell you things that they want. And you're going to think, I never knew that about you. Like, you never told me any of this. Like, why didn't you tell me any of this? There's going to be a lot of sharing of goals and ideas. A lot of people asking for feedback when it comes to their pursuits. A lot of people going, well, what do you think about this? If I did it this way, what do you think it would have, like, what do you think about this? It's going to be like teeny itty bitty, like little business meetings that are going to be happening inside conversations as people try to figure out how to get to where it is that they want to go. I also see that there are going to be a lot of people renegotiating jobs. Like
mysticrainn from the future here. This was actually a prediction, and I didn't realize it. So I actually recorded this video about a month ago, and that was before the U.S. started to reopen, and people really started to talk heavily about how jobs have looked now that the U.S. is opening back up. And so you guys are actually looking at a prediction happening, and I thought it was so cool editing this back and watching it happen back. And I was like, damn, girl, you're good.
Like standards of jobs. So anyone that's interviewing for employment around this time will probably be negotiating things like pay or things like work environment. So maybe like, because some people have started going back to the office, so some people are going to be like negotiating like working from home, negotiating hours and different things like that. But people that are already employed, I see that like you're going to be negotiating with like your current employer on like the aspects of your employment. So maybe like negotiating for a raise, or negotiating again to maybe you work from home more, which is really interesting too. I just like connected it all together. For a lot of people, June, like the end of June, is a time where like people do like mid-year like performance and like work appraisals and stuff like that. And I just connected those two. That's going to be a lot that's going to be happening. And a lot of the communication too will be like deep, sort of like emotional, intrinsic thoughts on life. You're going to be talking about philosophy, your personal code of ethics, your morals, what you genuinely believe to be right, and all the things that you believe to be wrong. It's going to be like all of that internal, like that stuff, because you're in a place where you're reconnecting with self. And that's going to be all of the conversation. So when you have a conversation with like, hey, I want to redesign my life to look like this, it's going to be because this is how I feel, right? Because you're still dealing with the energy from that lunar eclipse, right? Lunar moon, moon emotions, right? So it's going to be a lot of conversation. And then, so we also have Uranus that's in Taurus. And so Uranus, I like saying it that way, it's good and obnoxious. So Uranus is like this planet that like, it's this planet that has like this need to transform. It's a very transformative planet, right? And so, but it's in Taurus. And so this is also adding to that energy of external and outside, right? Taurus is material. Taurus is like your outer circumstances. Solar eclipses that happened in the new moon a couple of weeks ago. And eclipses, by the way, their energy lasts for about 6 months. Solar eclipses are rapid changes to your external environment, right? And then you've got Uranus and Taurus, which is the need to transform your external environment. But that need will be deeply, deeply spiritual. And it'll be the need to change your outer reality to reflect what you now feel on the inside. A lot of you guys are in the ascension process and you're growing and you're developing, and you're going to realize that that old life that sustained the old you no longer works for new you anymore. And then, so you also have Chiron and Aries. So let's talk about Chiron for a minute, because not everyone talks about Chiron, but Chiron is such a crucial celestial body. Chiron is actually a comet. It is not a planet. And it represents your deepest wounds. It's known as like, it's like the planet of wounded healers, right? Or wounded warriors. It's the deepest, deepest, deepest wounds. If you want to know where a lot of your childhood trauma begins, and you cannot pinpoint it yourself, although a lot of you will be able to pinpoint it yourself. But if you're in the beginning stages of like self-discovery, you may need a little bit of help. If you look at your chart, have a look at where Chiron is, because Chiron will tell you what area of your life you carry the most amount of issues, what area of your life you carry the most amount of childhood trauma, the most amount of emotional triggers. You will see it where your Chiron is, right? So your Chiron is in Aries. Aries is that's the like Aries comes first, right? Like Aries comes first. Aries, like that's your first house. That's the house of your outward expression. That's how you show up in the world, how you present yourself. It's how you take everything you feel on the inside and express it outwardly. And it's how people receive you, right? And so when you have Chiron, right, like the wounded warrior, sitting in that place of outward expression, of self-expression, right? That what that is issues with who you are and the inability to act on who you are. So as all of you guys are having these moments of like emotional, like existential moments where you are questioning your belief system, and now, because we just went through a solar eclipse, you're now going to be questioning your outside circumstances. It's going to make a lot of you question who you are, who you believed you are, who you want to be. You're having an existential moment, right? And then if some of you get an idea of who you want that person to be, you will have a hard time figuring out how to implement that person. Because here's the thing. what a lot of you are going to start to recognize in this period is that the person that you're trying to get yourself to be was the person you had always wanted to be. It was the person that little you, right? Like your childhood version of self always wanted you to be, maybe even expected you to be. And then because life is life, you kind of veered and did whatever you did to do and went off into whatever direction you kind of went off in. And so you're trying to figure out how to get back to that place of equilibrium, but you're going to be struggling, right? Because the thing is, that would require you to actually reconnect with your authentic self. And that can be challenging for people because to be genuine is to be unapologetic, right? And society teaches us to apologize for everything that we do. And so there's going to be a struggle there because you're going to understand that in order for you to get the life that you want, in order for you to change the circumstances around you in such a way that you feel like will ultimately benefit you, it means that you have to get rid of everything superficial in your life, every superficial relationship, friendship, and whatever it is in your external circumstances that you feel like is superficial. Only you would know that, I wouldn't, right? It's going to require you to reconnect with your genuine self, and that can be difficult, and a lot of you guys are going to be struggling with that. You're also going to have like resurfacing feelings of insecurity around your goals and your ability to accomplish. Like I said earlier, right? These aren't like little goals. These are like massive, like mile markers. Like these are like big achievable goals that you're going to be recalibrating. Like, whoa, like why am I so far from that? Right? And I suspect too around this time, this is not astrology, this is a psychic hit, that for a lot of you it's going to be love, and for a lot of you it's going to be like the idea of union, whether or not you want to call it marriage or not. It doesn't have to be legal, but like the idea of union, of partnership, of love. For a lot of you, you're going to be kind of re-examining that, where you are right now, how far off you feel like from that, and in your mind, how did you get so far away from it, right? Not that you're far away from it, but that's kind of where you're going to be in terms of telling yourself that. And then, so that's Chiron and Aries. Now again, Aries is traditionally the first house, but in this particular chart for the full moon, your Chiron will also be sitting in the 6th house, right? And that's the house of like health, but then also like the house of like discipleship and mastery and all those things. So the big thing here is, as you are going through this time, June is going to be such a place where you spend so much time in your head and your heart that you really need to focus and prioritize your self-care and how you're treating yourself. You need to be like, really take this time to like focus. Is that a bath with like essential oils and like rose petals that you need to do to quiet the noise? Like, you really need to go do that. You need to be very mindful about your health around this time. And don't put people above you, right? Meaning, for those that feel this need to help and assist all the time, this is a time where you come first, where you're not putting and prioritizing other people above yourself. You really need time for self-care during this time, because you will be apt, based off of where Chiron is. Hey, don't chew on my baseboard, Duchess. Mommy's almost done filming. You're just doing that because you're trying to get my attention, and I don't really appreciate that. Stop doing that. Go lay down, Duchess. Go lay down. That's completely inappropriate behavior. Go lay down. Jesus. But because Chiron, again, is that wounded healers with all their wounds are, people are going to be asking a lot of you, and they're going to be pulling on that. Right? They're going to be pulling on your inability to set proper boundaries, right? They're going to be pulling on your ability to, your need to people please, right? This is not a read. I'm not coming for you. This is just kind of what's happening in the cosmos. It's going to be a collective experience that we're all, me included, are going to be doing during this month. You really need to make sure that you have a good handle and a good lock on that you're not allowing your energy to spread too far, right? Because this is going to take a lot of energy out of you. 2 eclipses back to back is a lot in itself. It's very heavy, right? And then with this happening, you're going to be thinking about what you want out of life and like where you want to go and whether or not you're there. That's very heavy stuff. You need time to prioritize self so you can come to terms with everything that's happening in head and heart, right? So that is your full moon in Capricorn. I don't necessarily foresee it being something where like you got to worry about. Like the last video I did, I was like, oh my god, I would sit this full moon out. It's really not that kind of full moon. It's really a transformative full moon. It's a beautiful full moon. If you want a ritual, I would say your ritual is journaling a lot during this time. I would just journal. I would just write everything I'm feeling because you're going to feel a lot. You're going to have a lot of ideas. Just start journaling, start writing it all down, because as you do that, a lot of things will start to connect. You'll start to find that you're getting a lot of answers to the questions that you have. So, all right, guys, that is going to be the end of this video. I hope it was helpful. Before I let you go, make sure you check out the links in the description box below. And as always, I'll see you soon.